prime. That's the best combination. And if you think it's not the best combination, look what happened last year in the playoffs. You know, you had a Denver team that won a great series against Utah that then upset the Clippers, and it looked like they're the cardiac kids. Even when they're down 10, they have you right where they want you, and they were coming back on the... No, Lakers took care of them in 5. In fact, the Lakers gentlemen swept the Western Conference before beating the Heat. No one took them 7. 4-1, 4-1, 4-1, 4-2. LeBron James, the best player in the game until further notice, and AD are the best combination in the NBA.
On paper, I think that we have to look at them and their resume, yes.
Hi, Perk.
But I'm just telling you, based on what I'm seeing, maybe it's because of LeBron James and AD's questionable health. Even though they're back and they're playing and they're healthy enough to play, they're clearly not 100%. I'm thinking about KD and Harden. And I'm like, I can't summarily, and I've got to throw Kyrie in there, KD, Kyrie. I can't summarily dismiss them. I'm telling you right now, I will say this. I think that once this season is over, we may very well be calling somebody else the dynamic duo other than LeBron and AD, because I'm just a believer in Kevin Durant.
But what are you saying right now, though? Max is saying LeBron and Anthony Davis. Where are you?
I would tell you right now, if I had to pick I would want, the dynamic duo, it would be KD with James Harden rather than LeBron.
But not Kyrie, not KD and Kyrie.
Because it's small, because Kyrie's small.
He said, where are you at, Perk?
Well, I just can't believe the stuff I'm hearing from Stephen A. right now, okay? And I agree with Matt. For the simple fact that when you look at LeBron and AD, right, and you look at KD and James or KD and Kyrie, I get it. They impact the game offensively, all right? Anthony Davis and LeBron James, not only do they impact the game offensively, but they impact the game in a tremendous way on the defensive side of things. And this is why they're the #1 defensive team in the league. Last night, they held the Phoenix Suns in the first, second, and third quarter under 25 points. Do you know how hard that is to do in today's game? And they would have done it in the fourth quarter if it wouldn't have been for those bonehead fouls by KCP and Dennis Schroeder fouling Devin Booker, shooting the 3-point shot attempts. And I'm looking at it, and it's because of LeBron talking people through rotations. And then you talk about Anthony Davis, right? He could arguably win Defensive Player of the Year every single year, because there's no one in the league that does what he does on the defensive side of things. The way that he's able to switch 1 through 5, guard smaller guys, guard guys and protect the paint in the interior, the way that he's able to cover ground. So not only are they both giving you 25 plus a night on the offensive end, they're impacting the defensive area too, Stephen A. And that's why I have to give them the edge of being the best duo in the NBA.
I don't mind standing down when you bring up defense, because I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to front. I wasn't even thinking about it. You're absolutely right in terms of overall. I was just speaking strictly offensively with what KD and James Harden brings to the table, and what I'd rather have now. It's that dynamic duo as opposed to LeBron and AD. But I can't say anything about that defensively other than this one point. You said that the Lakers were the top defense in the league. I got news for you. #1 in points forfeited in the league would be the New York Knicks. I know. It's just important to remember that. I think it's important to remember that. The New York Knicks are the #1 defense. It's not the Los Angeles Lakers. It's not the Los Angeles Lakers.
You're right about,
it's the New York Knicks that's the #1 defense in points allowed in the NBA. KP, is that correct? Is that correct?
And look, points allowed and just overall is two different things, Stephen A. And look, they're the #1. The New York Knicks are the #1.
I got to take it how I can get it.
The New York Knicks are the #1 defense until they have to.
Okay, can we stop right there? Can we stop right there? Let's not rain on my parade. Let's not rain on my parade, KP. Let's not rain. Did I do that to you? Did I come to Texas raining on your parade? Let me have this, man. I said the New York Knicks don't get technical with me. They're #1 in points allowed.
But you know what, Molly? I want to point out, New York stand up, New York stand up. And when it came to saying who's the best duo other than AD and LeBron, Stephen A. correctly says KD, and Harden. And by the end of this season, by the end of this postseason, Perk, I'm afraid he's going to be right. KD and Harden, by the end of this playoffs, he'll be right.
I have breaking news. I'm in the process of reaching out to James Dolan and the New York Knicks. I might have to sit courtside tonight. I might have to sit courtside tonight. I might have to. I think they need me. I might have to be courtside.
He's going to step over the body of Charles Oakley.
I can see what I can do.
Courtside.
I got to see what I can do about sitting with Spike Lee and the crew. You know, Al Pagone, you know. I got to see what I can do about sitting courtside. I think they might need me tonight. Y'all might see us cited because I've never sat courtside for Nick game. I might have to come out of pocket and sit courtside tonight. I think it's important.
If you do that,
I think it's important. I think I need to be there like that. I just do.
If you
I'm
do
just
that,
feeling that right now.
Stephen A., don't say anything to Trae Young. That's a piece of advice.
I know better than that. I know better than that. I would never do that. And not only that, I'm a professional. So I'm not going to sit up there. The level of decorum has to be exercised. But I think the Knicks need to come out of that tunnel, and they need to see me right there.
Okay.
They need to see me.
New York, stand up.
New York, stand up. Word is reliable. Somebody that is so bona fide and relatively consistent to the point where you get to take some of the load off of LeBron and Anthony Davis, because teams are going to have to pay attention to them as well. Those things are important. But LeBron James and Anthony Davis are going to do their thing, and especially if Anthony Davis continues to play the way that he plays. I remember before the playoffs even started, I said it was imperative that he not only show he's going to always get his numbers. He's too surreal not to. The question was, how is he going to get those numbers? Are you going to be vicious and tenacious and attacking the basket, being a man amongst boys and dominating in the fashion you're capable of? He completely wiped out Nurkic and Hassan Whiteside, made them look completely irrelevant. He patrolled the paint and turned, even though Portland likes to shoot perimeter shots, he turned them into an exclusively perimeter shooting team because he was neutralizing everything in the paint area. He's got to be that man amongst boys. He's got to play big in order for the Lakers to have a chance to win the championship, which I believe he will do. But it's still going to take a little bit of help from somebody else. That's the key. But nobody's stopping him and LeBron. It's whether or not they're going to stop the others.
Yeah, but I think that's what the question really means, Stephen A. At least that's the way I interpreted it. And you're right about they need to find that reliable third guy. But that's why I didn't like the Lakers. Well, clearly, that's why I didn't like the Lakers to start the season. Because when you have to go all in to get AD, you got to get the other stuff just right. I mean, the Lakers almost did. They did a great job in the offseason once Kawhi spurned them, finding whatever else was available and trying to patch it together. But I don't think it's going to be enough. Of course, LeBron and Kawhi, that duo can't be stopped, but their ability to put their team over the top will be stopped, I believe. First of all, without Damian Lillard, that game was too competitive. I know some other guys like McCollum, guys stepped up, but that game was too competitive. That's a team that doesn't play defense and then doesn't have its best player. And still, it takes superhuman effort from your two best players to get by him, and not exactly a rout, right? That doesn't make you feel good. And then beyond that, I like Danny Green as a nice piece on a team. Who else is really a starter on that team? Who's shown throughout their careers that they're a starter and that they're still a starter? Because you could even argue that about Danny Green. I like him as a two-guard, 3-and-D two-guard. I think his shot will start to fall, and he'll be fine. But who else is really even a starting caliber player on that team? Has Kuzma ever proven that in the NBA? Really a starter on a championship team? He hasn't, Stephen A. They don't have that. And I think given this coming off season, they'll be able to find the right guy and just the right pieces. And I like them for the following year. But that's what I thought from the beginning of this year. I don't think LeBron and AD will be enough.
Well, listen, here's my thinking. I don't believe that you have to be a proven starter on a championship team to play well with LeBron James and Anthony Davis to lean on as your teammates. I mean, that's what the true measure of greatness is. Sometimes it's not requiring greatness of others. It's just requiring them to do their jobs. And that's it. If you're Kuzma, can you give me 15 to 18 a night on decent, respectable shooting, anywhere around the range of 44 to 47% from the field? If you are an Alex Caruso, can you drill occasional open shots? Or a Danny Green, for that matter? Can you do those things? who's going to pick up the slack defensively. So you're not asking LeBron James to go out on the perimeter and do that, at least until he faces Kawhi. Those are legitimate questions. And I think that right now, again, my confidence in the Lakers has diminished from what I've seen in the bubble compared to what I saw before the season was postponed. There's no doubt about that. But the reason why I've never completely written them off is because I recognize the kind of impact LeBron and Anthony Davis can have, not just on opponents, but on the play of their teammates.
Real quick, Kobe and Shaq in their primes were a better duo than AD and LeBron. Like, they were top two of the top three players in the league. And it took Rick Fox, who could be a real good player with numbers on another team,